Hello everyone, thank you for joining me back here at Perfectly Imperfect Designs. It has been a while. We have moved to a different location. We're still in the same town, but we moved out of a great big house and we downsized, and things are way simpler now, and I'm so glad to be back on YouTube. Thank you so much if you're joining me for the first time, and if you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. Today I'm going to be making a gnome wreath. I'll show you the sign. I'm going to be using this gnome sign. It is available in my Etsy shop. Sometimes I think that wreath signs don't necessarily have to have words, and this one speaks for itself. So I think this is really cute. I have it in a 6x8 and 9x7. So those are the two available sizes. I'm going to be using this ribbon today with the gnomes on it. My ribbons are cut to 12 inches. And I've also got this ribbon that I'm going to be using as well. And if you notice, the legs on the gnome match the ribbon just about perfect. So I think it's going to turn out really cute. I'm going to be using two different kinds of mesh. The border stripe mesh in the silver, and the red border stripe mesh with the red foiling on the ends. My mesh pieces are cut to 20 inches, and I'm going to be doing the ruffle method. So what I'm going to do is take one piece of mesh. It's cut to 20 inches. Let me get my ribbons out of the way before I knock them off. Oh, and this is a Dollar Tree wreath form. It's approximately 14 inches around. Cut this off. Okay, to get started, I'm just going to lay my mesh out on the mat. I like to curl up. Excuse my mat, you guys. It's very well loved. And it's not in the greatest shape, but I've got another one coming. Now I just scrunch it up the middle, trying to stay in the middle of the ruffle. And there you go. It comes out with a little bow tie on it. I'm going to start with my red. I always start on the outside. Whether I'm doing poofs or ruffles or woodland ruffles, I just like to start on the outside. If I can find the other end. I like to start on the very outside perimeter of the wreath form. Have that in. Now you want to pull your ruffles up over each other so they look pretty. I'm doing every other one red and one silver. Curling the bottom half under, like so, and ruffling it up the middle. I try to keep those edges turned under when I start and when I finish so that it doesn't fray as easily. All mesh does fray, so I can't totally eliminate it, but I can hide it. Put this one, oh, you can't see me. This one down in here. Alright, you guys, I had to switch the view a little bit because my webcam was not working, so my son helped me fix that. So let's go on. Like I said, I've got the red and the silver. Going back to red. Lay it out. And if you have a hard time with your mesh and keeping it Let me see if I can get in the camera better. If you have a hard time with your mesh and trying to stay in the middle, what you can do, I have this rock here that I got from the Dollar Tree. Set it at the end of your mesh like this. Pull it under and ruffle it up the middle. Yeah, you guys have to excuse my space that I'm recording in, but I'm doing the best I can. Like I said, we moved from a big house with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It was on the lake, and we downsized. And I'm just now trying to get everything set up. And I've got some work to do on my recording devices, but we're just going to roll with it. Back to the silver. Now I've got my mesh from Craft Outlet, but you can go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or anywhere like that and pick out some mesh. You know, I get a lot of my supplies from my wholesaler, and you have to have a tax ID number, so I won't be linking that one. Back to the red. Again, I'm going to put my rock on there. I'm going to put my rock up here. Take my mesh, fold it under on this end. Doesn't have to be perfect. I just do that to conceal the fraying. And ruffle up the middle. I think I got you guys a little close in this video, but that's okay. I'll get all the kinks worked out. Just down in here. And tie it on. Okay, hold on you guys. Okay, now what I'm going to do, so you don't have to sit and watch me put every single piece of mesh on here, is I'm going to finish the outside perimeter, alternating the silver and the red all the way around, and I will meet you back here when I get done. And then we'll start on the middle of the wreath. Okay, you guys, I'm coming up to the very last ruffle on the outside perimeter of the wreath, and it's going to be silver. I'm just doing the same thing repetitively. Just lay it out. I like to put a rock on my other end, the end that I'm not ruffling, especially when you get closer to the end of the roll, because it curls so much. Sometimes it makes it difficult to make the ruffle. Put this one down in here. I love this mesh. I think it looks really pretty and it's very festive for a Christmas wreath. And the reason that I call it a Christmas wreath is because of the candy cane swing that the gnomes are sitting on. But also because if you look at the ribbon, it says, "I'll be gnome for Christmas." And then it says, known for the holidays. So, okay, now I have the outside perimeter of the wreath done. And again, I'm sorry about the view, you guys. I know I'm entirely too close. I'm doing the best that I can. Now we're going to do the middle ruffles. So again, I just lay it out and start ruffling it up the middle. Now I'm going to take this ruffle, come over to my wreath frame, and lay it down in here and tie it in. And it's going to have a really full look when we get done. Okay, on to the next one. I only have 6 ties in the middle of my ring. And it is time for a silver. My piece is over here. So I'm going to again roll it under. Now this is just making the base of the wreath, and I may put a crossbar in the middle so that my bow and my sign do not fall through, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So again, I'm just going to lay the ruffle down into the next tie. Well, if I can find the other end of it. Lay it down into the next tie and tie it up. I'll do another red. I'm going to do this last red with you guys, and then I will finish the inside perimeter of the wreath before we move on to the ribbon. Like I said, you don't have to be perfect when you tuck these edges under, because by the time you get the entire ruffle ruffled up, you can kind of adjust it a bit. Make sure it's even on both sides. And we're just going to lay it down into the next tie. Make sure you stand them up against each other. Okay guys, I'm going to finish the inside perimeter of the wreath, and I will be back and we'll start adding the ribbon. Okay, I'm on the last ruffle of the inside perimeter of our wreath form. And I'm going to stand these up. And now that I've got the very last ruffle on, I'm going to go around and look for frays, because I want to cut them off instead of covering them up with ribbon. Pull my pipe cleaners up that I'm going to be putting the ribbons on. Top and bottom, or inside and out with this wreath form. See, here's another fray. I like to get them before they get out of hand. So now I'm going to start adding the ribbon, but first I'm going to take, let me set this aside. I'm going to take 2 pipe cleaners and twist them together. Like so. Then I'm going to turn my wreath over. And I want this to go across the middle like this because I'm going to add a couple of ruffles to the middle of the wreath so that my bow and my sign do not fall through. And you'll see what I'm doing here in just a second. Pull this across. And I want some tension on here, so it's kind of tight. The whole purpose is to put a ruffle on it to keep things from falling through the front. And I'm just pulling it and tying it to itself. Twist a couple times. I like to do this before I put the ribbon on. And pull this one up and cut it off. Okay, so now we have those pipe cleaners in there. I'm going to take a ruffle and ruffle it up just like I did the other ones. Okay, I'm going to take a pipe cleaner, put it around this, tie it on. Cut the excess off. Now I'm going to take this ruffle. See the pipe cleaner going across the middle of my wreath? I'm going to tie the ruffle onto the middle crossbar that I created with the pipe cleaners. I'm going to put 2 ruffles in there. And it gives it more of a full appearance, but it also helps my bow and my sign stand up pretty. So let's see, I can just take this extra piece of pipe cleaner, wrap it around the ruffle, pull up on it, and that just gives me a little bit to tie onto the crossbar. So I have one on this side, so now I'm going to put this one in here. Well, if I can find the other end of it. There it is. Put this one down in here. Okay, as I turn it over, I'm going to cut off the excess, even though I cover the backs of my wreath, so you're not able to see all the mechanics. I just think it looks nicer. I take a Dollar Tree placemat, or if they don't have them, a round placemat, and I tie it to the back of the wreath. So now I have it filled in a bit in the middle. And there you go. Okay, now for the ribbon. These pesky old phrase. What I do with the ribbon is I'm going to take this ribbon. Again, my ribbons are cut to 12 inches with this one on top. Fold it in half. Crease it. Now, a lot of people do this in their hands. I just find it easier to put on the table and do it. Whatever. I mean, you can do it however, what works for you. My way is not right or wrong. There are no rules when you make a wreath. I'm going to place this down in here and I'll show you. I'm opening up the tie. I didn't open it all the way. And I'm just placing this down on top of the mesh. Pull it out. Spread it out. And at the end, we'll figure out what we're going to do with all of the pipe cleaners that I'm going to have to cut. But I'm not going to do that until we get to the end. So, this is what the ribbons look like. You turn it around. And you have the gnome ribbon with, I'm trying to get it, guys, but there's not a glare because I have my recording light on. Okay, again. And since this ribbon is directional, I want all of my gnomes going the same way. It just keeps your eye flowing. So I lay it down. This one on top. Crease it. And then shape it out. I like for my ribbons to come out towards me on the bottom, or I say the bottom because we're using a Dollar Tree wreath form. If I was using a work wreath form, the ties would already come on it and it would be elevated in the middle. Now I do have a work wreath form like that I'm going to be making here real soon. And I'm going to be using some 21-inch mesh, using it. So, show you a different way that I can make that. Okay, on to the next one. After we get the ribbons and everything on, then we'll put the embellishments on. And of course, at the end, I will hold it up and show you what it looks like. And thank you guys for bearing with me with my recording apparatuses, if that's even a word. I'm doing the best I can with what I have. So, scrunch these up. Pull them out. Just lay it down in there. Pull them out. So, is everybody ready for Christmas this year? I mean, it's not even Halloween yet, but they have Christmas stuff out everywhere. I think it's just because, you know, last year a lot of us were not able to get out. And this year, everybody wants to just get out and get things done. And I've heard that if you do not buy things now when you see them, they will not be available when you go back. We're really having a hard time here in the United States getting things imported, all products, even wreath products. So, if you see something for sale and you would like to have it and it's in stock, I would suggest that you get it as soon as possible. Like right then, if you're able to. I was kind of out of sorts during the fall season. I do have fall ribbon and signs on my website on Etsy. My Etsy store is called PerfectlyMPerfectUS. I will have it linked below with this sign ribbon kit, as well as some of my fall sign and ribbon kits. I've been without a computer A lot of people work on their phone with everything. Now I do sometimes, but when I'm putting listings up and my photos on Etsy, I like to, put several on there. So it's just easier for me to use my desktop computer. Spread these out. And to the next one. Yeah, I really wanted my fall season signs and ribbon sets to do well. But like I said, we didn't have internet when we moved to where we're at. The place that we moved to has never had internet. So we had to get that all worked out. I have a lot of kinks going on in my recording devices, like I said, but I will get that worked out as well. Okay, I have the ribbon all the way around the bottom of the wreath. Okay, now for the top. Over. Wrench it up. And lay it down into the next pipe cleaner on the inside perimeter of the wreath. And pull it up like this and then spread it out. Like so. Move to the next one. I've got a few embellishments that we're going to add to the wreath besides the bow and the sign. The bow and the sign, to me, that's just a given. Now, I do not put a bow on every single wreath that I make. It just depends on what type of embellishments I have on it. But this one we're going to make a bow for when I get done adding the ribbon tails. And again, at the end, I will stand up and show you the completed wreath. And I'll also show a picture of it hanging on my door. That will probably be the thumbnail. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for coming back to join me. I'm almost at 6,000 subscribers. So I greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I go live and make a project. And then shape them out. Gotta shape out those ribbons. Now sometimes on the top I like for them to be crisscrossed. We'll just have to see on this one. Of course I'm going to go around and straighten out all of my ribbons again and cut the pipe cleaners down. Next one, we only have 2 ribbon tails left. Oh, that's already got one. Okay, up here in the middle. Pull apart the pipe cleaner and just lay it down in there. I'll try to do a little bit of adjusting on the camera. After I get the ribbon tails on and I make the bow, I'll try to adjust the camera so it's not so close. My son let me borrow his webcam because mine's not working right. I don't know if it got damaged during the move or what's going on. But I wanted to get on here and make a wreath because it's been a while. And I need to keep my content going on my channel. In half. Okay, this is our last ribbon tail. And this plaid ribbon, guys, it matches the legs on the gnome sign perfect. And I do have the ribbons, both of the ribbons and the sign available in my shop, and I'll have that listed below. I pull these out like this. Okay. Not cutting my pipe cleaners off yet because I think I'm going to put some Christmas bulbs on this. Okay, there it is with all the ribbon. I'm going to see if my son might be able to help me adjust this a bit. But he might not be able to, so this, again, is what I'm working with. I will show you the entire wreath when we get done. But for now, we're going to make a bow. So let me set the wreath aside. Get my bow maker. Okay, you guys. I am not used to sitting down to make a wreath. And that is pretty much what I tried to do. And I just think I do better if I stand up. So I'm going to take this ribbon and make about an 11-inch tail. So what I'll do is take the tail, go like that, and then I have to twist it so the pretty side is down. Bring it up. I'm going to be making about a 5.5-inch loop on both sides. Push it down, twist it, bring it this way, about a 5.5-inch loop. Okay, I'm going to put two loops going, or two loops the same size, and I just follow the existing loop. You don't really have to measure after you get one loop down. And then when I switch to the next ribbon, I'll be making the loops a little bit smaller. So this way, and you're going to see how I'm going to make this 5.5. Okay, I have two loops on each side. Now I got to determine if I want to do 3. And I'm pretty sure I do. You want to get all this stuff in the middle as flat as you can without being kinked up. Okay, I'm going to do one more loop. Turn it over. Follow my existing loop. Trying to make it not so bulky here in the middle. Okay. Turn this. Make one more loop on this side. Okay, now what I'm going to do, so that my gnome, see I have one upside down and one straight up. So I'm going to cut my ribbon right here. Take this, put it down in there, and make my tail appear to be the same way. Okay, I went ahead and pulled that off and added it. Now, I'm going to take this and cut it about right here. Now to break up my bow colors a bit, I have one more ribbon that I'm going to add to the mix. First, I'm going to spread these out like I like them. Don't worry, these little pieces that I cut will not show in the end. I just like to place my loops where I want them before taking them off of the bow maker. And I'll straighten up my tails in the end. Okay. Drop this to the floor. I'm going to be adding this ribbon into the mix. So I just put it down in there. Now this time I want my bow loops to be about 4.5 inches. Or let's say I have these at 5.5. So yeah, I'm going to do these at about 4.5. Like that. Turn it. Turn it. Go to the 4.5. About right here. And what you can do is hold your loops up to make sure they're even. And I have this one a tad bit bigger. Fix that. Okay, those are even. Twist it. I'm also going to be making 3 bow loops on each side with this ribbon. I love this ribbon. It's just so Christmassy. I may come back in with this one again. I'm not too sure yet. Okay, I don't have to twist it this time because this is my 3rd loop. It's a little big. Go. I have 2 on this side. I need 1 more. Make sure it's the same size as the existing loop that I have down. And pull it down. And again, I will be placing my loops where I want them when it comes off the bow maker. Not everybody does it this way. I just do it this way because it works best for me. Like I said, there's no right and wrong way. It's just what works best for you. Pull these down. Okay, now I'm going to come in with the gray ribbon, the plaid ribbon. Okay, now I'm going to come in with the plaid ribbon. Tail down there, twist it, bring down the tail. See if I get more of it in there for you. Okay, I'm going to do the plaid at about 4 inches because the red and white stripe was at 4.5. So I want it about right here. Turn it. Move my loops out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. I want this at 4. So about right there. And again, before I keep going with this ribbon, I'm going to hold these up and make sure they're the same size. And they are. So I'm over here, twist it. Now all of my plaid bow loops are going to be the same size at 4 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and do 3 as well. So every ribbon that I have used, I've done 3 loops with. Twist it. Follow the existing loop. Twist it. Follow the existing loop. And bring it down. Okay, I want my loops set where I would like for them to be when I take the bow off of here. And if everything's not perfectly even, you just tug and pull a little bit. It's not going to hurt anything. Trying to keep this bunched up part in the middle as flat as possible. Of course, the more loops you put on the bow, the thicker that part's going to be. Okay, now I'm going to pull this down and cut it. Alright guys, now I'm going to put these where I want them, make sure I have them the way I want them, and you know they're going to fall back, but they stay a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to take a pipe cleaner, put it in the middle of the bow. Now this bow maker that I'm working on is called the Easy Bow. Wrap it around here, make sure it's in the center the best you can. We're going to readjust it when we take it off of the bow maker. And then you just pull it up off of there, repositioning your pipe cleaner into the middle of the bow. Turn it over, trying not to lose your stack. And I'm going to tighten this up, but I don't want to tighten it all the way because I want to do some adjusting. I usually use a zip tie for this, but for some reason today I decided to use a pipe cleaner. Okay, turn it back over. We have our bow. We just have to adjust everything. I usually do not fluff out my ribbons. Sorry guys. I usually do not fluff out my ribbon or my bow loops until I get it on the wreath. And I put my sign on before I put the bow on. So we will be fluffing this out quite a bit more. I'm just kind of fluffing it out right now. Everything will have to be adjusted when it gets on the wreath. You want to make sure all of your loops are opened. Open it up. Now I'm going to tie it as tight as I can possibly get it so nothing falls out. There we go. Looks a little bit flat right now, but it will not. I'm going to get it done. Okay, I'll worry about the tails after I get it on the wreath. So now I'm going to bring the wreath back in. Put my bow aside. Grab my signs. I really wasn't sure if I wanted the big sign. I've got the 9x7. But I also have the 8x6. I think I'm going to go with the 9x7. So what I do for this, let me get my sign ready here. Put my bow maker down. Take it out of the bag. Okay, I use this jewelry punch to put wire in my sign. And what I do is I just poke a hole in the top. And a little bitty hole in the bottom. And I need to tighten the screw up on here before I lose it. Okay. Then I take my 24 gauge wire, I think it is, and cut a piece of wire for both holes. That's my grandson pulling up. Okay, so now I'm just going to feed the wire through the hole in the sign. Usually I use picture mounts and just hook it to the back of my frame with hot glue and E6000 because I don't really love to put holes in it. It's way easier this way to just put holes in the sign and feed the wire through there. And this silver wire does not show up that well. I mean, you don't see it at all, especially with the silver mesh that I've got going on. Okay, and I just put these together. It's easier to twist the sign to put the wires on. So now, let's figure out where. And again, I haven't cut the pipe cleaners completely off because I'm going to put some embellishments on it. I think I'm going to put the sign here. And the bow over here. Let me see if I like it that way. Or the sign up here and the bow at the bottom. Let's see if I like that. Now I think I'm going to go side to side. So I'm going to put the sign on. What I do, now I sometimes use a plastic needle so that I can go directly through the mesh. This is a darning needle. Put it through, bend it over, and then put it straight through my mesh. And again, we put those ruffles in the middle to keep things from falling through. And then I just take the needle off. And now I'm just going to tie this to the frame so it's not going anywhere. And you don't want it so tight that it's smashing down your mesh. But you do want it to stay, you know, in the place where you put it. So again, I'm going to take the needle. Okay, guys, you can also purchase these needles at my friend's shop. Her name is Dawn. Wreath Decor by Dawn sells them. And I do think I prefer standing up much better making a wreath than sitting down. I've always stood up in the past, and sitting down just didn't feel right. So here we go with the bottom. And I'll pull all the ribbons and stuff out. I don't like for them to look like they're sticking out, gasping for air. That drives me crazy, so I do not like smashed ribbons under my sign or my bow. I'm just twisting the 2 wires around the frame. And again, I still have a little bit of work to do on that so that I can get it exactly where I want it. Let me see this side. Sign on here. Guys, I really wish you could see a bigger view of it. Now I'm going to add the bow before we add some more embellishments. I can also use my needle to put my bow on. Put it through there. Put it straight down into the mesh. Mirror the frame so I can tie it to my frame. Okay, I'm tying this down to the frame. Move that over a bit. Now I can fluff up the loops. Okay, we have our bow and sign on. Now I have some little Christmas ornaments that I thought might look cute. I got these from Walmart. I also have some yarn balls that I made. Let me see. These may be too big for the wreath, but they may not be. Yeah, I like these because they match the swing that the gnomes are on. Well, if I could turn it the right way. See the swing? It has the red and white stripes. You guys will get a much better view of this wreath at the end. But for now, I think I am going to add some of these yarn balls. Now, I usually don't put yarn balls in my wreath, but since I sat and made them, I also have crocheted ones that I think are really cute. And I have a pipe cleaner on them. So I'm just going to feed the pipe cleaner through there. Hold that in. And again, wrap it around the frame. And I'm going to put 3 on it. So I'll put one up here as well. Let me know what you guys think about the yarn balls. Now, these are just plain chunky yarn balls. But I have some that I crocheted because I love to crochet as well. Okay, now for my bow tails. If you've watched me before, sometimes I curl them in little pin curls. Or spiral curls, I mean. And sometimes I just leave them flat. It just depends. But I always kept my 1.5 inch tails at an angle, and I dovetail, make these shorter, I dovetail my 2.5 inch ribbons. So we'll move these out of the way. And I'm going to take my 2.5 inch ribbon, fold it together on the crease side, cut down, and it gives you a real pretty dovetail. And it doesn't matter that my ribbons are not the same. I don't really like for them to be the same exact length. I just don't like the blunt cut across the bottom. These may have to be cut more. Now, today I think I'm just going to turn them under a bit. Not going to spiral curl. Okay, you guys, since I decided to add the yarn balls, I'm also going to be adding these ornaments because they kind of bring out the colors of the bow. I got the ornaments at Walmart for $2.97. I'm going to cut the pipe cleaner before I put the ornament in there. Simply just going to put glue on them. And stick them in where I want them to go. I think that looks cute right there. Spread the ribbons. And let's see, the next one I have over here. So again, I'm going to make sure the pipe cleaner is cut. Some glue on this. Stick it in there. Now these will be showing on the sides of the wreath because people look all around your wreath, not just the front. If it's on the door and they're standing at a side angle, you want to give them something pretty to look at. This wreath will be available in my Etsy shop, which I will have linked below because I have the ribbons and the sign available in my Etsy shop. So don't forget to check those out. And I still have to go around and fluff things out. So I have this one here. Glue on it. Of course, you always want to be super careful with hot glue. It burns very bad. It is very, very hot unless you have a low temperature glue gun. Okay, now I have a pipe cleaner in here that I'm going to get rid of because it's sticking out from underneath the sign. And you know how I feel about that. Okay. Let me unplug my glue gun. And I will hold up the wreath, show it to you, and talk to you for a bit. Hold on just a second. Okay, you guys, this is my finished wreath, the gnome wreath. I went ahead and took the yarn balls back off of it because I just thought it brought down the value of the wreath. It just didn't look as fancy, I guess, with the yarn balls. Let me get it in the picture. So, if you would, let me know if you would have kept the yarn balls on it. I am going to insert a picture of it with them on it. There we go. Now you guys can see it. Let me know in the comments if you would have left the yarn balls on it or taken them off. And like always, if you're new to my channel, thank you for visiting. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. And if you have been here before, please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel so that you can see all the content that I put up. I want to thank each and every one of you for subscribing and just hanging out with me while I make wreaths and other things that I make. So I will see you all in the next video. Bye.